Hello, welcome to another Purple Insider Extra inside TCO Performance Center. Matthew Coller here along with Sam Ekstrom. Not a very eventful day here with practice. So Sam, let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings and Indianapolis Colts on Saturday night. Let's go through several of the things we'll be looking for. And I think that we've picked up the answer to whether starters will be playing on Saturday from several different players and coaches that have indicated yes, the starters are going to get some time, or at least that's the way that they've made it seem. So my number one thing to watch is just how much the starters play and whether the starters come out 100% healthy, because we saw two players that could make a difference this year get hurt in the first preseason game in Cam Smith and Kene Nwangwu. Neither of them have practiced this week, so it's very important that the starters do not get hurt. And I think important that they don't play too much. But Kirk Cousins said that he wants to get out there, get the rust off. Clint Kubiak said the same thing, that he'd like to see the starters out there. So for me, that is the number one thing to watch against Indianapolis, just how they play and how much they play.
Yeah, and they'll have to be careful with that because they are pretty banged up right now. They've got like 9 guys out of practice, including Anthony Barr and Tyler Conklin, who we saw rehabbing. Barr has been out for a while now, and it's starting to be concerning. So they don't want to lose anybody else. But of the starters that do play, I'm going to be watching the defensive tackles. And there's one of those defensive tackles who is very eager to get on the field, and that's Michael Pierce, who hasn't played in almost 2 years now after taking last year off. I've watched him destroy people on the practice field, and unfortunately that's been the Vikings offensive line, which you can say is cause for concern in that regard. But I want to see how Michael Pierce does against other competition. The Indianapolis Colts, assuming they're playing their starters, have some very good offensive linemen, so let's see how it goes. Quentin Nelson, I believe, not playing in this game, so maybe a little weaker on the interior. We'll see if Michael Pierce can pancake anybody and see how he plays off of Dalvin Tomlinson. And I know Andre Patterson's been working hard with both of their respective pass rush moves. Will they be able to collapse the pocket around, I believe, Jacob Eason or is it Ellinger? It's not a big name Colts quarterback coming in here.
Yeah, I think Jacob Eason, but right, with Carson Wentz out, we're going to see the Colts backup quarterback situation. I think that Michael Pierce is one of the winners of training camp, a guy who on a consistent basis since he's been back from the calf injury has looked really terrific, and the interior of that defensive line could be as good as advertised. I'm going to stay right there. DJ Wonnum, Stephen Weatherly, the fact that the Vikings even brought Everson Griffin in for a tryout is a message to them, and also is very clear from what Andre Patterson said and what Mike Zimmer said this week that they were not thrilled with that first performance, and they view that as very much a battle between Stephen Weatherly and DJ Wonnum. Weatherly they brought in from free agency, and we haven't really seen him look like the guy that maybe they wanted him to be, or that the Carolina Panthers wanted him to be as a starter last year when he didn't get a sack in 9 games. And DJ Wonnum showed flashes last year. He had that great sack against the Green Bay Packers, and they've moved him around a little bit, but I think now they're saying maybe he's a better option than Stephen Weatherly, and that could put Stephen Weatherly on the chopping block potentially. So I think both of those guys, they're both going to play. They both need big games. That's second on my list for things to watch for Saturday.
Yeah, number 2 for me, and maybe this is a little boring, but backup linebackers and safeties.
What's boring about that?
I'm befuddled by
backup linebackers? Come on, let's go.
My 53-man roster has a lot of crosses out and a lot of sketches on there because I've got a lot of different iterations of it. I can't figure it out. Beyond Nick Vigil, who's done a good job of solidifying himself as the 3rd linebacker, take your pick. Troy Dye has struggled a little bit, although today Adam Zimmer said some nice things about him. But to my eye, Dye had a tough 2020. His PFF numbers would back that up, and I haven't seen a ton from him in training camp. Chaz Surratt doesn't look like he's ready to make a big impact. He'll probably make the team because of his draft status. So who do you want? Who do you want filling out that linebacker room? Is it Blake Lynch, who's quietly had a pretty good camp and he got some first-team reps today? Is it Ryan Connolly, who's got some first-team reps? A lot of the young guys are not coming through, so who's going to win those jobs? And at safety, beyond the rookie Cameron Bynum, who I think has a ticket onto this roster, who do you like? Josh Metellus, Miles Dorn, Luther Kirk. I've got no clue, so let's see how they do in the games.
Well, let me talk about some more notable players the specialists. And now the first game, you don't often see a head coach call out his punter after the first preseason game, but we had that. So Britton Colquitt all of a sudden is at the center of what we'll be watching for every punt. And if Britton Colquitt can get the right distance and the right height, because 3 of his punts, Mike Zimmer said, he was not happy with at all. And Britton Colquitt is known for his holding ability, which, boy, we are really in the weeds here, but it's true. Known for his holding ability. How much do they weigh that versus if he can't get his punts together? And Greg Joseph has solidified the job for now. He's got an opportunity to make the rest of his kicks in preseason and be the starting kicker when the Vikings begin the regular season. I wasn't sold on the idea that that would happen, but now that Riley Patterson's been cut, nobody else has come in, and Greg Joseph made his kicks today in practice. I think Greg Joseph is the guy as long as he takes it from here to the end of the 3rd preseason game. And we know that with Mike Zimmer, if you even miss one, that there can be some anxiety there. So Greg Joseph, who, by the way, is the most even-keeled person I have ever met in my entire life. We talked to him yesterday, and he is just like we've seen other kickers like this. Dan Bailey was kind of flat, but like, this guy is just very focused on being a kicker to the point. He said he doesn't even have any social media, and I believe him. Most people I would not believe, and I think they had a burner. So Greg Joseph will be calm for now, but we'll see what happens when he gets to the game.
Kind of Kai Forbathian,
a
little bit.
Yeah, Kai was that way.
Sure. I tried to crack jokes with him, it didn't work. So he might be the perfect unassuming Vikings kicker that Minnesota needs. I'm watching quarterback snap counts. I want to see who plays more. Is it Jake Browning or Kellen Mond? I mean, I assume Jake Browning's going to be the number 2. I want to see how much time he gets. And, if they give him 2 full quarters, that tells me that they want to see something out of him. If they give him a few series or a quarter and put him on the bench and then put Mond in the second half, that actually tells me more so that Browning is well in front of Kellen Mond. And I keep hearing from the coaches, Mond needs snaps. He needs reps out there. And I think they're right. I think he can't be given the backup job until he gets a suitable amount of snaps under his belt and does something with them. Now he's getting a little more chances. He had 1 preseason game, played almost 3 quarters, might see that again. But he's got to look good as well. Getting snaps is not enough. You have to convert that into some level of success. And this week's been a little spotty. It's been up and down for Mond, and I think that Saturday's game is obviously his most important test yet.
Right, he had a very good practice on Monday. The last 2 days have not been of the same level as he was Monday, but it's also harder for the backup quarterbacks to get snaps in these practices as we approach the regular season, and that's why this preseason game is so important for Kellen Mond, because guess who's getting the snaps? It's Kirk Cousins. Like, they're trying to get their offense ready to go and ready to face the Cincinnati Bengals now that I think a lot of the things on the roster have been decided for first team, second team, and we've got a few battles left to go that they're going to be watching for, but not a ton of snaps for Kellen Mond over these last few days in practice. But I would expect him to be coming out after Jake Browning, that we'll see Kirk Cousins for maybe 2 series, then Jake Browning, and then Kellen Mond maybe for the entire second half. And it's possible we even get a little Danny Etling in there, but I would be surprised. And so that is clearly the number 1 storyline that I think all Vikings fans are going to be watching, that Kellen Mond did some good things in his first time out, but also had a tough time getting the offense going. And as Mike Zimmer talked about, especially getting them up to speed and up to tempo in those 2-minute drills. He showed a little bit of more urgency in practice this week, so that's what they're going to want to see against the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm also curious if there will actually be Indianapolis Colts fans who show up at the stadium. There were a lot of Denver Bronco fans that bought those cheap preseason tickets, so we'll see if there's some Colts fans in town. I think the last time the Colts were here was the Eric Swoop game in 2016, was it not?
I believe you're right. That was not pretty.
No, it was not. So we'll hope for a better effort that we can write about than what happened last time. And we'll catch you later after the game here on Purple Insider Extra.